Steve Cichon, staffannouncer.com.
Hey folks, welcome to the staffannouncer.com studios. My name is Steve Cichon. Today we're dipping into the video archive, something which we haven't really done too much of and probably should have at the staffannouncer.com studios. One of my personal New Year's resolutions is to get more video up on staffannouncer.com. Some of the history of Buffalo radio and television. Pump it right into your homes via the wonderful World Wide Web. Today what we're going to look at is a video that recently came to me from someone who's a fan of the website, Paul Kovacs. It was taped by him back in 1988 on cable television. It's the Sandy Beach Magic Morning Show. And what happened was they invited cable television cameras into the studios there on Elmwood Avenue to shoot the show, to broadcast it live on cable television. It was all part of a promotion to publicize cable television and to make sure more folks around Western New York got it. So the guests were amazing during these 4 hours of Sandy Beach's morning show, which wound up on television. The segment we're going to look at right now is with Stan Roberts and Irv Weinstein. It's Sandy's Magic Morning Show on WMJQ in Buffalo, Magic 102.5, and we're going to take a look at that now.
Do we have the Channel 7 music ready? Let's run that because Irv is here and, you know, it is 7:08. Do you know where your anchor man is? Yes, we do. Irv Weinstein is now at Magic 102. Not permanently, of course. We can't afford that, but he's here for an hour along with Stan Roberts from that other station across the hall.
How quickly they forget.
WBEN. No, yes. I didn't want to give you a plug.
Do I get to play WBEN's theme now?
No, I didn't know you had a theme. Oh yeah,
I'll write one as we sit here.
Charmaine with violins.
No.
Irv and Stan. Now the reason...
Interesting.
Isn't this?
Yeah.
The reason I have you two on in the same hour is the fact that the three of us, you've known Irv longer than I have.
Irv Weinstein may not remember this or may choose not to remember this, but when I did the morning show at KB Radio, he was my newsman.
Oh, man.
Do you recall? You must recall,
sure.
Before he ever went to Channel 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was
that humble guy behind me.
Yeah, he was the guy. Now, did you, when KB was running Pulse Beat News, you know, WKBW, Pulse Beat News, and then this voice would come on that would fill 50,000 watts, Eastern America and Canada to be Irv. Did you originate the Pulse Beat News format, or was that in place when you arrived?
I originated.
Did you really?
Humbly, he admits.
Humbly, he says, and it was copied all up and down the East Coast. Now, Irv, I can't picture working with you in radio because Irv, you see one side of Irv. You see the professional anchorman side. Occasionally near the end of the newscast, he'll let a little glimmer out of his personality, but he is one of the most dynamic personalities and off the wall and funny and whatever. You used to get broken up all the time by a disc jockey called Russ the Moose Syracuse.
Yeah.
In
he used to walk
right?
by the window into the studio and do an imitation of a fish. You know, he used to do this. And,
while you were doing the news, of course.
Yeah, while I'm doing the news. And I must have had a death wish or something because we had a cough switch that you could turn off.
Right.
But I never turned it off. I just laughed.
Oh, you went right through.
And we used to get requests, you remember?
To hear you laugh.
People used to call and wanted to know when I was going to laugh next.
Yeah. Sandy's laugh is like that, too. People love to hear Sandy laugh.
But his is deeper and better.
Oh, I know.
You know, Stan, I'm going to tell you, be very careful what you say to this guy.
Oh, yeah?
18 years ago, he entertained at my son's bar mitzvah.
Never let him forget.
And I said, Sandy, if you ever need a favor.
Here's my card.
Walks into the station the other day, says, look, here's the schedule. I said, but wait a minute, Sandy.
It's 7 o'clock in the morning.
I get off the air at 11:30 at night. He says, you'll be fine. He said, you're going to be on with Stan.
And Alan Pergament.
And Alan Pergament. And there's a short handwritten note here. It's printed in block letters. Irv, this is it, big guy. If you do well on this show with me, who knows how big you could be on TV. And
that's true.
Who would know better, you know, how big you can be on television. You know, that's great.
Now, when you went from KB Radio to Channel 7, because I've had you on the show before, and we're just about caught up now for your son's bar mitzvah, by the way. Had you on about 8 times.
Oh, thanks.
This is it. the Channel 7 news department wasn't what the Channel 7 news department is now, which is humongous and covering everything. It was a small operation.
Yeah. Weren't you on the bottom of the market, too? I mean, relative to the ratings, Channel 7. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, they were dog meat.
Our ratings were lower than the sign-off test patterns on the other two stations.
Yeah. Channel 4 was the Buffalo Evening News station, and
WBEN-TV.
Yeah, BEN-TV at the time. It was dominant for this Eyewitness.
Yeah, that's true. We had 3 people in the news department.
You're kidding, really?
Myself and 2 camera people.
Oh, wow.
Sam Brunetto, Paul Thompson.
Sammy,
sure. Sammy Brunetto.
Now, in those days, Irv...
they gave him a subscription to the Buffalo News, though. So just because we
know
what's going on.
What we used to do for visuals in those days? We had no budget. We used to take the colored section of the Buffalo News on Sunday and cut the pictures out.
Did you really?
And glue them to a cardboard.
Oh, get out.
And we had the chutzpah to call this Eyewitness News. I mean, we were extremely enterprising.
But they were not color pictures. I mean, I remember you
Crayon?
first started. You were on black and white.
Well, we had black and white film.
Oh, really?
Eyewitness News was black and white, sure.
Now,
in the beginning.
Now, Rick and Tom and yourself, you're the original team, right? They all started together?
Actually, Rick signed Channel 7 on in 1958.
58, wow.
I came to KB Radio in 58 and moved over to television in 64. Tom was working for Channel 4 at that time and moved over to 7 in 1965. We have been on the air together since 1965, which has to be some kind of a
it certainly is.
Some kind of a world record.
Count the anchor people teams.
This month,
elsewhere, yes,
marks my 30th year in broadcasting in Buffalo.
Congratulations, 30 years.
Thank you.
30 years of successful broadcasting.
It was 30 years ago that I drove into the parking lot of KB Radio in a beat-up DeSoto.
And he's still driving it today.
Still has it. That's right. It's parked right up front.
Irv, now this is okay. Now look.
No, wait a minute.
Okay.
This is a true story.
Oh, okay. 30 years of DeSoto.
You remember Dick Lawrence?
Oh, sure.
Dick Lawrence was a program director at KB Radio at that time. He called me on a Friday down in Clarksburg, West Virginia. Was working for WBOY TV.
Oh, boy. Oh, yeah.
He said, you got the job. We loaded up the DeSoto, furniture, everything. Elaine and Mark.
Oh, my goodness.
Drove all weekend, drove up to Buffalo. I got to the station Monday morning. Walked into the station, and I said, I'm here to see Mr. Lawrence. And the receptionist said, well, Mr. Lawrence is no longer with us.
Oh, no! Oh, that's a
typical
nightmare.
Broadcasting story.
My whole terrible career passed between in front of my eyes at that time. But luckily,
you had a deal anyway.
I started in this business as a radio actor, as a part-time radio actor for a station in Rochester. And I started when I was about 15 years old. And fortunately, my voice was developed pretty much the way it is now. We would do wonderful shows like True Stories of the New York State Police, and I would play 3 or 4 parts. It was great training.
Yeah.
I would play the crook, I'd play the state trooper, I'd play the farmer, directing them to Malone, New York.
Well, in radio drama, that's what they did. They'd have... A lot of people would play many different parts. It was all with sound effects. It was wonderful.
It was great.
It was wonderful.
It was the greatest training in the world.
You keep saying theater of the mind, and that is what radio drama is, because people picture the set. If you mention a monster, every person pictures the worst possible monster to them.
Well, look what we have. He started at 15, and we have a picture. How old were you in this picture?
That was my high school. That was my high school graduation.
About 17? Probably 17, 18,
17,
somewhere around
18.
there. Irv Weinstein, look at that. Look at that. The young stutter.
Look at that.
This was before he
eyes hopeful, looking at the future, trying to figure out what the hell I'm going to do.
Trying to figure out how you're going to pay for the DeSoto.
You know, I'm sure that all of our families told us the same thing, you know.
What, radio?
Radio.
What,
you can't make a living from this.
Radio. Nobody makes a living.
Get a real job.
Please.
Yeah.
You make bread, you bake bread, you sell bread. What is radio? You're talking, you're crazy.
We'll be back with more of Irv Weinstein and Stan Roberts.
And his true life story.
And his true, the adventures of Irv Weinstein after this traffic report brought to you by the 9X Yellow Pages.
If you have a piece of audio or a piece of video or a photograph or a story that you think belongs at StaffAnnouncer.com, if it has to do with Buffalo radio or Buffalo television or Buffalo's pop culture history, and you want to share it with the world, please drop us an email to Steve@StaffAnnouncer.com.
This has been a feature presentation from one of America's 2 great websites.
Steve Cichon, StanAnnouncer.com.